What's up, y'all? Hey, welcome to a very, very, very special edition of Mix and Kiki. I have my sister with us, Kenya. Hey,
Hi, sis. How's it going?
good. I have my drink in hand.
As do I.
What are you sipping on?
Champagne.
Okay,
What about you?
thank you. I have.
It's a joyous occasion.
It
It's a
is
joyous occasion.
very joyous, very family, very, very family affair. I have it's like hot apple cider with like a couple of splashes of bourbon. It's
Ooh.
not bourbon.
Is there a name? Does this drink have a name?
No, it's just spiked cider.
Okay. We love a spiked cider moment.
I'm gonna take a sip.
Nice and cozy because there's still a lot of snow on the ground over there, right?
It is, and like this snowflakes have been like nice and like flaky and fluffy, but now it's like getting like slushy. You know, like how it starts to get like kind of gross, and there's like dog poop and pee
I
on
know exactly what you're talking about. The city is like beautiful in the snow until it's not.
immediately. It's like literally as soon as it settles on the ground, it immediately turns to like poop.
Yellow. It's yellow snow. Nobody wants a yellow slushy, a Manhattan slushy in the winter. That is not the look.
Uh, so y'all, Kenya is in London, so it's late. So I'm very proud that you're still awake.
I am just holding on. I've got my blanket in
Mhm.
case I fall asleep. No, I'm just joking. It's not that late. But we've been in lockdown here. We're in our third lockdown, and it just feels like time has just become a bit of a blur. So I mean, I've everyone has been saying the same thing. Like we feel like we've lost a sense of time. So it's 9 o'clock, and yet it feels like it's 2 a.m. And then we wake. I mean, it's just the days feel so much longer and shorter at the same time. It's just strange. I think everyone's just getting bored of their respective four walls.
I feel like I'm the only person who's not bored of my walls.
Because you moved.
I'm so excited to be in these walls, y'all. I can't tell you. And yeah, I moved. I mean, I'm sure like people who've been watching these things realize that I have like a different environment.
It's
Um,
it's a very nice environment. You've got, and also you have like a whole building to yourself practically.
yeah, it's cute.
It's nice.
Yeah. But I don't even like I don't explore the building. Like when I tell you I'm up in this apartment, like I'm here.
I don't blame you. It looks like a nice way to do COVID. If you're gonna have a COVID experience, like move into a nice palatial new place, have
You
everything feel shiny and new.
okay, y'all. So my sister has two of the cutest people. They're my little nephews. And as I was like thinking about this key that we're having, I was like, I'm gonna ask her like, because I've never like asked you this like offline. Like, how do you literally keep your marbles in your head with all that is going on in your apartment?
Girl, the marbles were lost long ago. Yeah, I mean, they're both pretty, amazing. Like both of them are like an absolute joy, but their energy levels are so boundless. And we grew up in a household of women mainly. I mean, there was dad, but it was you,
Dad
mom,
actually told us
myself.
like, yeah,
So there was just a lot of girl energy. Like it was a household full of girl energy. Whereas here, it's a household of small boy energy. Like they're just like, I mean, the 2-year old in particular is just, he's so energetic and literally like he's a dismantler. He's rough and tumble. He likes to break things. He likes loud bangs. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's just constant trial and error because it's such a learning curve because I didn't grow up around boys like that. I mean, it was just like, we were a household full of girls. And then the guy cousins we had were older, Brian and Eric and all of that. So I just didn't have I didn't grow up around little boys. So it's just, yeah, I'm on a constant like learning curve with
they
them.
they are so lit. Every time I call Kenya, there is always some straight shenanigans going on in the background. But it's funny, like, I mean, I think we were raised like this. Like, there's something about like how we were raised. Like, we're really like chill. Like, we're very neutral. So even
Mm-hmm.
things could be falling, like literally there could be a burning house that we're in, and I feel like we still have like the same temperament. So whenever I
I
talk to you, it's like literally they are just doing the most, and you're like very just like calmly dealing with it.
that's actually quite encouraging to hear because I feel like inside I'm like, like literally just, a frantic mess. So it's nice to hear that on the outside, at least, I look calm
Yeah, we
because
put it all the way together.
right. But yeah, I mean, it is ironic because, yeah, I am quite, we all, our family, we tend to be quite calm. But yeah, I mean, these little people are fiery.
Yeah,
They
baby.
have a lot of personality.
But okay, so y'all, in the midst of all of this, my sister has put out a whole book. You have a whole book, which is so crazy. And it like really resonates like when other people who don't know that we're sisters or make the connection tell me about the book, which is like that's
Yeah.
what happened today. So I'm like on the phone with like another friend of mine getting like all these text messages. I was like, what? Like literally I had like 45 text messages because this is a friend of June's, and so they're like texting back and forth, and I see all these exclamation points. And you know how like when you're not following a text chain, you're like, what? So then I finally look at like all 45 of these text messages, and it's like her friend basically sending a screenshot of your book, and she's like, "Is this your sister?" Because she said she was reading it, and then you say something about me, and she's like, "Wait a minute," because she didn't like connect the. I mean, she knows our last
Oh,
name or whatever, um, but she's reading it for a book club that she.
oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah, every time I see there've been there's a lot of book clubs that are active on social media, and every time someone posts a photo of the book cover or it's just some words about how the book has resonated with them, I always have like a bit of a pinch me moment because it was such a like process writing it. So for it to be out there now and and just to know that there are people who are actually buying it and reading it, just that basic simple fact
yeah.
is still, a pinch me moment for me.
Well,
So
I
thank
think
you for sharing that.
any black woman who sees this on a book is going to gravitate to it.
I hope so. I wrote it for us. I mean, that's who I wrote it for. So I hope, yeah, I hope that that women feel seen and recognize those words and the way that we use them with each other
Yeah,
more than
that could
anything.
be like a whole conversation of girl, 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 girl.
Exactly. Because that was our childhood. I mean, and that's also like our adulthood. I mean, when we're on the phone with each other, when I'm on the phone with my girlfriends, but also growing up and hearing mom and Gail or Gloria or Ruth or whomever, like all of our relatives. That's just how to me it really is like the linchpin of a love language between us. And yeah, I have such affection for it. And it's nothing, I mean, I never really thought about it until my son started parroting, mimicking me saying it, that I began to really think about it. Like, oh yeah, I mean, because we just take it for granted the way we communicate with one another. And then when he started observing the way that I speak when I'm, talking to you and my closest girlfriends, and that's when I really started to really think about it um,
Yeah,
in a new way.
I love it. Any excuse to say girl 100 times, sign me up.
Girl, you can say it 100 different ways. You can say it 1,000 different ways. There's a girl for every occasion, every scenario. I mean, literally, we will just get the meaning out of it. I mean, and then give it a whole new meaning.
Even my text, so I'm now okay now. Like again, it's right because I would take it for granted, and then now because you have a whole book with the word girl on it. Like I think about it, I literally text my friends, and it'll just be like girl dot dot dot, and that'll be like the whole all
And
of
you don't have to say
friends.
anymore. And
See,
she'll
I
probably she'll understand.
still understand. Well, she'll call me because it's like okay, if you're saying girl dot dot dot, it's like that's pretty
Whatever.
pressing and juicy.
Exactly. You know, either there's something coming or I mean it could just mean a number of things. But I love that about us, like the way that we use language in that way. But also it's like I love it when it you could tell like that's it's also like a bonding moment as well. Like you know when you meet someone for the first time or in a work setting and you meet that the one who's the only other black woman in the room for instance because that oftentimes I'm navigating like you know really white environments and then we have that moment where it's like a girl moment like okay we see each other we recognize each other and we're about to have like a bit of a key but
Mhm.
yeah I mean I love it for so many reasons.
Well, speaking of navigating environments, you have been living. How long have you been living in London? I was track.
Forever at this point. I mean, I always use the Obamas as my sort of benchmark because we moved here before the Obamas were inaugurated, just before. And you know, for me, just being here for the entirety of the Obamas' time in the White House, and now the entirety of Trump's time in the White House. Thank the Lord he's out. Is I mean, it's really sort of dawning on me how long we've been here. So a good while now,
Time of
long time.
time. Yeah.
Mhm.
I
But
mean,
we are not. I mean, I'm still very much a Virginian to my core. I hope I don't have one of those mid-Atlantic accents that people who you know live in London for a little while start to get.
no, you have. It's not a full on accent, but I mean, you work at you are running like a magazine essentially, so it's like you're around nothing but Brits. So for 12 years now, so I feel like you have like an inflection sometimes, but then I think when you talk to like non-Brits, then you like have less of an inflection, if that makes sense.
That's interesting. I hadn't even noticed that I had an inflection
Yeah,
because I think my son. I mean, because Cosmo has a he's British. He has a British accent.
yeah.
And he's always when he imitates me, he literally makes me sound like I'm from Kosciuszko,
What is
Mississippi.
Cosmo News? That is bad.
All the time. But I think compared to him, my accent sounds thick and southern to his ear. So,
Turkey is a whole mess. Okay, I want to hear him impersonate you one day. That's crazy.
all the time. He impersonates me all the time. He lives to troll me.
That's you know what that makes so much sense now because sometimes when I talk to him, he's always like, "What? Like, what did you say?" And it's like you know what I said, but don't.
He can't understand us just like we can't understand him hardly.
Right,
I mean, I can understand him, but I mean, I the accent like it takes a while to sort of adjust to others' accents. And yeah, with me, he's always correct my pronunciation.
speaking of this, I remember mom was totally. She was like, I guess after the first visit, like when Cosmo was born, and mom and dad stayed with you guys for like I don't know, like 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks? She
Yeah.
talking about, I guess like the BBC or whatever. The way that she described the accents was so funny. She's like, I can't listen to another British accent ever again because it was just like repeated like
Oh, because of the television, was she missing American TV? Was that the context?
I think it was that, but I think it was just like being in a cacophony of like British accents. So it's just like from the TV, from the radio, from like if you're on the phone with someone, like just interaction and just like British, just
Well,
interaction.
I guess it is so different from. I mean, because I remember growing up, there was a girl. Well, remember Befried and Eve Marion? They had a friend. I think her name was Olivia, and she was an exchange student who, or not an exchange student actually. She was just a girl from England who had her family moved to Virginia, and she went to I forget the name of that private school that they used to go to.
Oh,
So when sometimes she would be at Beth Reedy's when I'd go over there to play, and I remember thinking her accent sounded so strange because my ear just wasn't trained for it. I had never heard it before. So I guess it's like if you're just not used to being surrounded by it, it might, you know, it's just this, you know, thing. Like you're just not used to hearing it so much. But now I don't even notice it.
that's so fun. Okay, first of all, I do not remember that at all. That's crazy.
Because you were so little, I guess. But also, you were always playing with Eve Marion.
Yeah,
But yeah, she was. I don't know why I remember her name so clearly. Because oftentimes, you know, I'm terrible with names a lot of the time. But yeah, I remember.
that's a
I remember
very British. sounding name, Olivia.
Mhm.
Too. That's really funny. But yeah, no, I was just like laughing when she said that about the British accent. No shade to anybody with a British accent.
So
Just like
funny. Mom is gonna get you for sharing
I
all these
know,
anecdotes.
as I'm talking about mom, I'm just waiting, mom, everything's okay.
Going to get it.
Wait, so what else? Okay. So you have a whole book that's out. You're running a magazine. You are living your best life in London.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just all of it. So just being a citizen of the world, essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's been great. I mean, I remember growing up and like envying everyone who had the opportunity to study abroad and live elsewhere. And I didn't have the opportunity to do it in school. So I mean, I do feel like really grateful that I've had this time to build a life, in another country and experience a different sort of way of thinking, but also to experience blackness in a different part of the world, because
Yeah.
I feel like that has really opened up a new sense of possibility for me. But also like the friends that I've made here, has been, yeah, I mean, I really have to say it. Like, I really have loved the time that I've had here, but also, just the being able to sort of have the experience of being a Black woman, which is an experience I very much love. But having that here in both countries, I think has been a real, it's something that I wouldn't trade at all. And
Yeah.
now I'm keen to, I mean, this lockdown is literally like just driving me crazy. Now I'm just so keen to get out and explore other parts of the world that I haven't been to yet.
Right.
Um, because
That's a good. Wait. Okay. So if the world just opened up tomorrow and you could just go anywhere, where would you go?
I would finally get to Lagos, Nigeria. I
Yeah.
have so many close, dear, treasured Nigerian friends. It's
You
embarrassing.
said treasure. That's funny. Yes.
It's embarrassing that I haven't been to Nigeria yet. So yeah, I would make it a point to go there,
Yeah.
uh, and just yeah, really see it for myself, and and then just go out and explore from there. But I was watching CNN earlier just before we just got on, and they were referring to like the airline industry as being an endangered species, and I was like, please no, that's the last thing I want to hear. Yeah, I think we're all like missing our travel lives.
Yeah. I feel like the next best thing is just like recreating the travel through food.
That's what we've been doing. That's what we started doing in the second lockdown. We would make it a thing and like eat food from a different part of the world.
It's okay. Speaking of which, this is such funny timing. We went to Blue Hill
Yeah,
last
I
week.
haven't been in a long time, but yeah, I mean, I love it.
Not to the one in West Village, the one upstate.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was one in the West Village. I only know the one upstate.
Oh, okay. Well, I've only been to the one in West Village. So and yeah, this was our first time going to the one upstate because they have this chefs in residence program.
Hmm,
And one of our friends is the next chef in residence,
nice.
who also I did a key with him and his wife, Omar and Sybil. Shout out to Honeysuckle A.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, I don't even know. I
Okay.
think you know what? It's okay for me to say this publicly because it is on their site. So, the current chef and we met them. We met Omar and his wife, like just to meet and catch up. And the chef that's currently in residence, he's from Nigeria. He's from Lagos,
Ooh.
based in Philly. And when I tell you, we were like, or at least I was like dancing while I was eating. It was so good. Because first of all, the courses are like endless. It's like endless food.
Yes.
So it was just like all the flavors and seasonings of just the earth. I mean, of Nigeria.
You just sounded so much like Cosmo now, because when Cosmo has a dish that he likes, he always says, I love all the flavors. I want all the flavors. But yeah, I mean, I have been craving jollof rice so much. And I was talking to my girlfriend Abele the other day, and I was like, just saying, why don't you just give me your recipe for jollof rice so I can make it? And she really doesn't recommend that I try to make it on my own.
Like, no, girl, you are
So,
with this recipe. I mean, it's a
so
I
huh?
remember. It's a process. There's a very
It's a
delicate
process. It's a whole. I would just be playing myself basically. But yeah, I need to get to Blue Hill basically.
basically you need to get Blue Hill. That food was so cute. I was like, oh my god, it's so good. But yeah. Well, all right, girl. Before we wrap up, I always ask my guests who to play a drinking game. We're gonna play a drinking game.
Yeah.
So, who would you want to have drinks with? Who is with us, or no longer with us, or both?
Okay, so the answer to that one is an easy one for me, and it's Billie Holiday. Someone who I had not thought about in a long time, but I went down this rabbit hole of Billie Holiday documentaries. So basically, I don't, I've consumed so much television and film over the course of these 3 lockdowns that I've been through 2 stages of music documentaries. And so the first stage was looking at musicians from like the 80s and the 90s, like Quincy Jones, um, Miles Davis or whatever. And now I'm going even farther back. So I watched Billie Holiday documentary, a really, really, really old one that was done in the 80s on the BBC. And then now I'm watching a new one. I fell asleep watching it last night, so I got to finish it. A second one that is also incredible. And so I learned so much about her that I never knew. She was like, she lived such an incredible life. I mean, she survived so much trauma, but also like lived life on exactly her own terms. And it sounds like she was probably like one of the most fun people you could party with ever, which is probably which was obviously her downfall as well.
Yeah.
Because she lived a hard life. Um, she also partied hard and she had a great time. But
Mm.
I mean, she just seemed like such a fascinating character. If she were, if I could have like, just a drink with her, I would like love to hear her stories and her take on the world. But also now, as we're like navigating a pandemic, which seems so, like upsetting and disturbing, we can just forget that like things can always be worse and people have like, survived. There's just levels and layers of trauma that people have survived over the years. And yeah, her life story was just like incredible. I highly recommend these 2 films.
I'm gonna check it out because it's funny. So a friend of mine who's a booking producer at MSNBC,
Mm.
she had hit me up like, asking like, of any like up and coming talents or whatever. Like she was like having a meeting with like this record label, and she just shot me over like the list of artists that they work with. And I was just looking through the list and just like picking names that I recognized. And I recognized Andra Day. And I don't know why I recognized her. I just did. I was like, oh, I know her. Like, I know, whatever. Just clicked. And so then when I Googled her, I was like, oh my gosh, she's like Billie Holiday. She's about to be for lead
She's playing Billie Holiday. Yeah. And this new film. And that just came up at work as well. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Prada did the costumes.
Oh, okay,
So
Prada.
that whole like full circle moment at work. Because I watched the first documentary. And then the next thing I know, someone brought up the upcoming film at
Mm-hmm.
work, and then I saw the trailer. So she's clearly in the air for a reason.
Yeah, because you were watching this documentary before you probably caught wind of that. And even
Yeah.
like I caught this one clip of from the movie, and just she was specifically talking about how, I mean, Andra, who was playing Billy, was talking about how Strange Fruit came about. I didn't realize it was because she literally, I mean, they pulled off to the side of the road. I think she was using the bathroom, right? Like by this tree. And then she knocked into a body that was.
Oh, is that the case? That wasn't in the documentary. That's interesting. I wonder if that was like, and then you know how sometimes these biographical films, can sometimes enhance the story or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
That's
true.
so interesting. They didn't mention that in the documentary, but I'm still working my way through the second, so now I'm gonna keep watching to see.
Watch it. I mean, also, I could, maybe I'm remembering what she said wrong, but I feel like that was the essence of what I got was that she literally like practically ran, like she was under this tree with this, you know, person that has been lynched hanging from the tree.
That's insane.
I mean, I
I
can't
mean, it's just,
imagine.
but it is like, I mean, it does make you think though about the our resilience as a people, because I started looking to history to gain a sense of perspective about what we were going through now, because there were periods where things were just feeling so heavy, like people around me, people going through real sickness and just like mental health issues, like all sorts going on, and people just struggling with the working from home and the homeschooling, like everybody was having a struggle. And so I found that it was helpful to sort of look to history to get some sense of perspective, and also to sort of like gain um, just to sort of like really channel the spirit of resilience that you just find in the human spirit or whatever. But also just thinking through Black women, like our so many of our icons have survived like incredible trauma and heartbreak. I mean, Billy's story alone, she was raped at 11.
Mm.
She was I mean, just so much. I mean, then she moved to New York with her mother, was working in a brothel. I mean, when you look at everything that she overcame, and then she did so and became this, complete legend who was living life on her own terms.
Yeah.
And then just was this story of incredible like power and agency, and also the fact that she was defying like gender and sexual norms at the time as well. Like literally, like no one was the boss of her. She slept with whomever she wanted to. She lived her life the way she wanted to during this time when like lynchings were the norm. Like it's such an incredible example of how I don't know, yeah, of resilience basically. But
Resilience, the strength, of our ancestors that like just keeps it paying it forward.
yeah, I mean I'll send you the link. It's a really good documentary. So Billy, I think, would be the woman. What about you?
Mine is not going to be that deep. Mine is literally so light. Like she just came into my head, and she's not even. I mean, she's like living, but she's fictitious.
Who? Tell me.
Throw in like a wild card of a fictitious person. Okay, do you watch Sabrina?
The Teenage Witch?
Yes.
No.
Not okay, not Sabrina from like Nickelodeon. I mean like the current Sabrina that you can
Oh
find.
no, girl! You're the one. You deep into that science fiction and all that stuff.
What?
I'm,
First of all, it's not science fiction, but okay.
uh,
No, it's giving you all the witchy. It's really good. Like ask any one of your friends if they watch it, and they're probably gonna be like, "Yeah, girl, I watch it." So there's this fictitious character. Her name is Prudence, and she's a full-on black witch. And
ooh.
they're on one of the seasons, her and this guy that she starts to date. And also, I love the show because it's like it's very like fluid. So the guy, first of all, I love that it's like two black people dating because I feel like you don't see that like on these shows often.
It's Sabrina? What? Wait, are we talking about the same show? What network is it on?
It's on Netflix. It's not the Sabrina you're thinking about from back in the day.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of like a Dawson's Creek kind of situation.
No,
Okay.
look on Netflix. No, so
Okay.
the person who plays Sabrina is the girl who was in Mad Men, who was like the daughter of Don Draper.
Oh, okay. I forget her name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Her name, sorry. Um, so now she's grown up and she's like the lead character of Sabrina, and she's like half. I mean, I guess the Sabrina story is like she's half witch, like half like human, like regular human. And so there's this girl Prudence on the show who kind of like trolls her in the beginning, and she's kind of a mess. But then she ends up being just such an amazing character, and she ends up like dating this guy on the show. And again, it's just like I like seeing kind of like black romance on screen on shows that are not necessarily black because like it's so rare. And then also they're both like sexually fluid, which I love. Um, but they have this scene. You just have to watch it just for the scene in New Orleans that they have.
Okay, I'll watch it.
And
Uh,
so,
I can talk about TV all night, basically, because
yeah,
that's all. That's all.
like all like, right. So I
Watching TV bugs.
so actually I would have a drink with Prudence and the guy that she's dating. I can't remember the name of the guy. But anyway, I would have a drink with them both, and I would have a Sazerac, which is totally like an old school New Orleans cocktail.
Okay. Wait, because so then off the back of that, can I revise my answer then?
Yeah.
So, have you seen Steve McQueen's Small Axe series?
No. Mm.
It's a series of films. It's 5 films. Basically, he directed 5 whole films. It's not even like a television series. It's a series of films. It's incredibly well done, and it's looking at um, a specific era in England. Particularly, I mean, just around the Black experience and
Oh.
specifically West Indian experience. But there's one film in the series called Lovers Rock, and it's essentially I don't know how, it's like almost 2 hours, and it basically chronicles one night at a house party, and it is so good. Like the characters are so well drawn out, even though you're just spending like one night with them at a house party. So I would actually, if I could have a drink with anyone, I would just like go to that house party basically and drink some red stripes. And just hang out with these kids, because it's such a beautiful example of like Black love as well, like you seeing these young gorgeous um guys and girls like falling in and out of love with each other on the dance floor in this house, like in Notting Hill. I think it takes place in Notting Hill. Like the walls are sweating, the music is incredible. It's so well done. I highly recommend it. It's just so beautiful.
Oh, okay. Sign me up. I'm so about that. I'm like, give me more joy. Like, I cannot
That's
watch
what I mean.
anything unless it's like joyful right
My friend Abele was saying exactly the same thing 2 days ago. She said that she really just wants to center joy in her life,
now.
because I mean it's just what she wants to do in general, but especially now, like now is a time that really calls for it. And
Right?
I think I need to do the same thing, because it's heavy out there. It's like it's so intense and stressful when you turn on the news and everything. So yeah, I'm literally just centering joy. I've been reading joyful books,
Good.
putting on movies that are like a mood and a vibe.
Yeah,
And
news is canceled. I can't with the news. It will literally have my like eyebrows up to like my edges.
I was done after those Capitol riots. I was like, you know what? I'm good for a minute. I mean, I tuned back in for the inauguration
Yeah.
and everything after that, but I've kind of quietly just been sort of weaning myself off of it, because literally I was just glued to like the news alerts, which is just too much.
Just like start the day with high blood pressure.
Seriously, basically. And not even from like high blood pressure from anything fun,
No.
like some good food.
Like a house party. Like I want the high blood pressure from a house party right
Give me high blood pressure from like a good plate of food or
now.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Not from the news.
Right. Well, on that joyful note, I think we did a key. We had a key. I had a
We
key with my
yeah.
sister. That was fun.
It was fun. And now hopefully next time we can do it in person.
We will.
I
We
know
will
we
in
will.
5 years from now. No, I'm just kidding. We'll do it.
Yeah. So, but the other thing I wanted to ask is, New York, do those jumping funk parties still happen there?
Um,
I mean, obviously not now in COVID, but were they happening before?
they were having kind of a moment. Like I remember they were still going on occasionally. It would be very occasional though. It would be one of those kind of like anniversary pop. You know how like Body and Soul is not like necessarily like a regular party, but they would do
Yeah.
like Body and Soul like anniversaries. Like it was like more like that.
Okay, that makes me feel very old, but I would love to just
So
like come
funny.
back. Jump
All
in.
I remember, okay, and then we're gonna wrap up. All I remember with those jumping pump parties is literally like the first time I went with you. You took me to one. It felt like it felt like someone was like holding a gun up to your head and like dance, 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 and it's like you just dance until your knees snap. It was so much. I mean, it was fun, but I was like, oh my god, like this is a lot.
I thought you said somebody something good to the head of the dance. Those parties were my jam. Like literally, I got my entire life. I don't know why I've been feeling so nostalgic for it lately, because it was forever ago. But those parties were
They
fun.
cute. They had like a whole vibe because also like there was always like a movie, like a black movie playing in the background. It was a thing.
It was the thing. And then there would always be like some saxophonist who actually toured with Fela Kuti, or a musician, some musician from his band who happened to be in town who would do a little guest moment real quick.
Yes.
Uh,
Literally that's why it felt so crazy to me, because it was like all of it, because I hadn't experienced that, like coming from Virginia. It was like every sense was engaged. It's like, we have your eyeballs, your feet, your
his
knees.
walls would be sweating. I think that's also watching the film, the Small Axe film. I was like, man, those jumping punk parties were fun.
We're gonna have that one day. We should bring it to London.
We should. I know. I mean, somebody should revive that whole idea, because I mean, after we get on the other side of all this, I think people are definitely going to have a lot of steam to let off.
Rich Medina is still very much doing his thing. So.
Oh, is he still active? Yeah, he should totally revive it. Just like, what's his name? There used to be those parties in LA that everybody was going to, that Victor Duplaix was doing, like the Kiss and Grind or something like that.
Every time, okay, oh my gosh, we are still gonna wrap this. This is so funny, but this is what it's for. It's Nashville, we're flowing. Whenever I hear Victor Duplaix, which is not like gospel, I don't just be hearing him. Like, so on SoundCloud, sometimes they'll make suggestions for you, and sometimes like Victor Duplaix will work his way through my like SoundCloud feed. When I listen to him, I don't know why I think of you. I think because maybe we would joke on his vocals.
You gotta edit this out. His vocals were mad soft. I was like, what is
it? No shade to Victor Duplaix. It's like he can sing, but it was just you're right. It was just very soft.
That's why when I was watching Insecure on HBO and I saw that they were like at these kiss and grind parties, I was like, these parties look lit, like they look amazing. Mm-hmm. So then I looked them up, because I always like Google and Wikipedia as I watch anything. Then I saw that the parties were his, and I was like, "Oh, word!
Really? Oh, that's good to know."
He his parties,
but he wasn't singing; he was just playing.
He's just playing. He's an excellent DJ.
He's an amazing DJ. Because I went to. Okay, this is another throwback. There were these parties that, like, remember Hudson? You stayed at the Hudson Hotel. Like, when you would visit, like, for Fashion Week, would you live in the Hudson Hotel? So they used to do these parties, like Giant Step. Giant Step would do these parties, and they have Victor Duplaix spinning. And actually, I went with Shauna. Shout out to Shauna. And we were like, that was like a whole twirl. We like twirled into like oblivion, because it was so, like, his set was so good.
He's a good DJ. It was just the singing that always would make me go.
No shade, Victor. We just laughed because they were very soft. You have very soft
vocals. You have to edit this out, because I don't want any Victor Duplaix fans coming from him. Those parties are popular.
No one is doing it.
They were.
Okay, girl. All right. I'm gonna like stop recording so people can go on with their lives. But this was fun, and I'm gonna end it with cheers.
Oh yeah.
All right. Cheers, girl.
Yeah.